Two, three,
two.
Oh dear.
Colin had a problem and a microphone to spare. Thomas took it up and so the podcast went to air. For weeks and months they trawled through every single DVD. They've unwrapped all the ones they can and now they're cellulose free. Now they're cellulose free.
Hello dear listener and welcome to Cellulose Free. My name is Colin and with me as always is my fellow film watcher, compadre and son Thomas.
Hi, hello.
What have you been up to?
It is election week in Australia.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
I beat blueprints, but have not completed blueprints, and probably never will complete blueprints.
Right.
Because it goes deeper than I am willing or able to go at this time.
I get the feeling, just through watching it, that it suffers from one of the features that I really don't like about that kind of game. In that you have to tap and click and tap on absolutely everything. Would that be a fair assessment?
It doesn't suffer from that as badly as it could. The problems come down to the fundamental design choice that the game is random.
Right.
So you can work out the solution to something, but whether you can actually act on it is another thing entirely.
Yeah. The other vibe that I got was that there was certainly a couple of times through watching that it was stretched out just for the sake of stretching it out. Waiting for clocks to tick over for probably 10 minutes or so strikes me as being a bit of a... This is how we're making up our hours of gameplay. We actually have you waiting for long periods of time.
There is a question there about whether perhaps the player could have been following some other thread for those, I think it was more like 20-25 minutes.
Right, so that particular player could have been doing something else.
Oh, probably.
At the time. Right.
They just needed to be there when the thing happened.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So you have basically played it through and beaten the game, or completed in quotation marks. Right. But then, like most games these days, there's supposedly more playability where you get perfect scores in things and find absolutely everything.
I'm quite sure there's more playability.
Yeah.
It's just finding that playability is...
Yeah.
Right,
well done. Good upon you for completing that.
And now it's just sort of impatiently pacing about the place, either literally or metaphorically.
Whilst singing "Oh Canada."
Canada has returned a minority government, a slim minority government.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, that's what they were before, though.
Yeah.
So
yeah. We'll see how that pans out.
It panned out slightly different from the polling from X number of weeks ago.
Well, when things shift quickly, it's sometimes difficult to correctly measure the shift.
Yes. I hear it said that if America sneezes, the whole world catches a cold. And, yeah, I think Canada was trying not to catch a cold.
There's UK local elections either tonight or tomorrow night our time.
Right.
Which... it helps to keep your finger on the pulse.
Yeah.
And then, Australian election on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it would be fair to say, and quite obvious, that one would be hoping for a result more along Canada's lines than...
Yeah. I have my vote worked out and printed out.
So you haven't
No.
This time? Right.
I would have liked to have gone for a walk sometime in the past week and a half. It hasn't panned out that way.
Well, You know, I'm looking at my step count thingy, and certainly for the past week, I have walked more than 10,000 steps every day in the past week. So it could have been done, but mentally, maybe not.
Mentally, I would have needed to get up earlier, and I may be slipping just a little again.
Okay,
and,
recommit.
Yeah, hoping to drag that back, hopefully.
Even if it is, I'm going to walk to the nearest polling booth to vote on Saturday. Except the nearest polling booth isn't listed as having democracy sausages.
So, well, you know, people have to volunteer that information for it to go up on the site.
That is true.
In any case, I think on Saturday, immediately after voting, I will be on my way on a walk, just hoping to keep my mind off it until it actually matters at around 7 p.m.
Yeah, it's an interesting time, and I'm just trying to... This is your second federal?
No.
Third.
2019 would have been just late enough in the year, I think. When in 2019 was that election? Because it wouldn't have been in January, because nobody wants to hold an election in January.
Yeah, but you would have been 20 then.
Right, yes.
So whenever it was in 2019, you would definitely...
This would have been the third. This will be the third. I do not plan to flee the country.
Let me math.
Yeah. Other than that, just very slowly refining edges on the political presentation, which will be tomorrow or today as this is going out.
Yeah.
Probably around the time that this is going out.
Yeah. That's when it is likely to happen. So just be patient with them and understand that they may not appreciate or want the amount of granularization of detail that you...
It is mostly talking about the parties, but there is an amount of context.
Now, you said that you had a cheat sheet for yourself.
Yes.
I haven't gone looking for one for me. Did you create it yourself? Or
yes, I have a 1/8 finished website that I haven't been working on, but should have been working on, that includes a largely finished cheat sheet generator, which I don't think works particularly well on mobile, because I haven't...
Oh, no, I was talking about a print...
Yeah.
Printing a blank, so that...
I can print a blank, yeah. Yeah, that's doable.
That will look roughly like with boxes, yes?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
All right.
I can run that off.
Excellent.
I think everyone else here is probably going to be voting above the
line.
Yeah.
Even I think I'm going to vote above the line this time around. Certainly in previous years, there have been particular people that I've wanted to give my last number to, and I'm not feeling it this time around.
There's one ungrouped candidate.
Yeah, so they will just not get a number.
No. They're quite bad, in my opinion, but I didn't find them as obnoxious as a couple of the really, truly bad parties. So I am voting below the line, but... Yeah,
I mean, I may still... It is somewhat of a tradition for me to vote below the line, but we'll see what happens.
Things will take about as long to count anyway, so...
Yeah.
Anything else? No, I think that might be it. You?
Me? As I mentioned before, I've certainly got some steps in. And what's been really interesting with these steps is that I've got back to listening to podcasts. Mm-hmm. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you suggested on this podcast or mentioned that you had been listening to a certain podcast called Wolf 359?
Yes.
So I've been churning my way through that. When you mentioned it, and I think it's quite some time ago, I stuck it in my rotation to get to when I get to it. And it must have been a long enough time ago that when I looked at it, I thought, what is that? And I haven't listened to any of that. Okay, I'll download the first episode. And I'm hooked.
Yep.
And quite enjoying it. It is smart.
Yeah.
And enjoyable. So my walks have included that. Today, I pushed myself a little more, not so much step-wise, but elevation-wise. I mean, last week, it was quite an elevation with a friend of mine, but on my own, I went down to the bottom of the Meehan Range and walked up to the top of the Meehan Range and traversed along the ridge line that's visible to us, and then dropped back down whilst dodging mountain bikers. So, yeah.
Mixed-use zone.
Yeah, and it was great, and everyone was nice. In fact, if anyone was ever in the wrong on that journey, it was me. I saw a turn-off and thought, oh, I might go down that turn-off because I think I know where it goes. And so I got out my phone and checked my topographical map. And whilst I was doing that, I happened to glance up and there's this cyclist right. I was standing right at the intersection, blocking. and I had my headphones on and so didn't hear him approach, but he was quite understanding and I felt foolish. Yeah, but it was a really, really good walk. The temperature was on the cool side, which helped the quite steep climb up to the top of the hill. So that was good.
Then you came home and some people put a hole in our yard.
A hole in our yard, yes. They blasted a hole in our yard. They didn't dig, they blasted a hole in our yard. We have had a slow lake developing in our front yard, which was getting to the point of being declared a natural marshland.
Yeah.
One of the mains pipes had sprung a leak deep underground and was seeping into our yard. And finally they rocked around after I contacted them again, because it's been 5 weeks since someone decided, yeah, something needs to be done about that. And yeah, they rocked up and they use high pressure water and blast away the dirt with high pressure water and a big suction to suck all the water and dirt as it's being blasted, so it doesn't make a particular mess. And it also means that they're not using a metal digger and potentially going right through the pipes. So I got down there and they took out a section of pipe that had burst and replaced that, and fingers crossed everything is fine, and a whole bunch of soil back in there. And it was right underneath a large plant. As to whether that actually survives or whether roots have been damaged, who knows? Only time will tell. But it was fun watching them. They seem to enjoy their job, actually. So good on them. And as I was walking back from my walk, I saw this big truck that I had envisioned would be what they would use rock up just before I got home at another point that I'd actually reported probably 6 months ago that had a slow leak happening. And I've just got a notification from Taswater saying, by the way, that's been fixed.
Great.
Yeah. So we'll see. It'll be interesting walking past there, because that was actually leaking out of the curb. So it had managed to find its way out through there, but I reckon it was the same thing. The pipes are old in this neighbourhood, and it's getting to a point where, it's going to happen more and more, I think. We'll end up with just a neighbourhood full of new bits of pipe joined together, like half-metre long sections of new pipe that have finally replaced all the old pipe.
The problem, I believe, roughly where a hydrant sits.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought, but it's actually not related to the hydrants.
Right.
It turns out that was actually a branch line across to the house across the road.
Right.
Yeah, so the main pipe goes around our side of the road.
Yes, I've seen the map.
Yeah, but all the houses across the other side of the road have a pipe going off.
Oh, yeah.
And it was that section. So they probably had a reduction in water pressure, I suspect, across the road. Yeah. Gripping stuff. But other than that, nothing else, really. So we might move on, because it's a fairly long film and I want to get some editing done tonight, because I've got an appointment tomorrow and don't want to cause any disruptions to our many, many dear listeners.
Yeah.
So we might watch a film.
Yes.
What are we watching this week?
We are watching the 2020 Netflix original film, The Old Guard.
Please tell our dear listener what it is all about, according to the Netflix plot synopsis.
4 undying warriors who've secretly protected humanity for centuries become targeted for their mysterious powers just as they discover a new immortal.
We're going to watch it surprisingly on Netflix.
Yeah.
So we're going to crank up the set-top box, we're going to watch it and come back and talk about it. So we shall catch you on the flip side.
Turn to side B.
If we're all immortal, then this will just keep flipping back and forth for all eternity. And I don't want that. So I'm not turning to side B.
There's not a lot of space on anything with multiple sides, to be honest.
Okay. Roll the Netflix, you mongrel.
So, what did you think?
I was wondering whether you'd try to pull that stunt. I have mixed feelings.
Uh-huh.
But mostly positive. I think it was a reasonably decent, solid film.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly as a superhero movie, which basically being immortal tends to be a superhero quality, it was sedate in how dramatic they used that. And I think the fact that they felt pain is coupled with that. But some of the pain that they were experiencing would basically make people unconscious in a lot of cases, and that wasn't happening. So it suffers from a number of inconsistencies within the established law that it is creating, I think. Another example of that would be the fact that the 2 women had earrings, and in one case multiple earrings. How does that work?
There's a case to be made, maybe, if the piercings happened beforehand.
That was the argument that I could come up with, but the older immortal, I don't think that kind of works, because there were multiple piercings on both ears, and I don't know. It's nitpicking, but yeah, it's. But it only occurred to me right at the very, very end, where they were sort of in the bar, and both of them were quite well adorned with earrings.
Yeah,
so.
I remember why I have been anticipating the sequel, and I do enjoy the film, in spite of the fact that for an action film, it's a little slow and talky.
It is, yeah, and it very much, in a lot of places, felt like it had a television budget. And so to allow for the money shots, basically, it was padded with quite a bit of dialogue. It was long, and I don't think it had to be that long. But there was some clever stuff and some dumb stuff. How on earth did they get out of that military compound in a Hummer? I just... I don't... It felt in a lot of ways that it had to be that kind of vehicle for the next scene to occur, which was wonderful. And I really enjoyed that sequence. But to get there, the whole sequence of events that allowed them to get out of that place, they very much glossed over, as in didn't show.
It certainly sets up and fires its Chekhov's law.
Yes.
We established that it is possible for these people to die. So one of them must be dying at this point, yes?
Yeah. And I couldn't gauge exactly how long that actually takes. I mean, is she no longer immortal, or is she in a middle stage? Because that also didn't kind of gel with me, in that she continued to lose a lot of blood but not die from that. And I guess got patched up and she's now fine but not immortal.
I expect she'll probably die in the second film.
Probably will die in the second film.
Seems like the sort of thing that would happen.
Is she in it?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Because another thing they could do is 6 months later, they're all standing around at a graveyard, in a graveyard. What other notes do I have? I got put off right at the very, very start, where Charlize Theron, is that how it? Charlize was introduced, and the sun shining from behind her, and then they move the camera around, and she's walking into the light, the sunlight. That threw me, and I was thinking, I hope that doesn't happen continually, because that's going to disturb me. Dudley Dursley, that was a surprise. And he did a reasonable job for a poorly written character.
Yeah, for a slow and talky film, the script is not great.
There is some really clunky dialogue happening there, and a lot of dialogue that I don't know how you went, but I was hesitant to turn it up any louder, because there was certainly some very, very loud segments and some dialogue that I could hear quite clearly. But at that volume, there was also a whole heap of dialogue that I had a lot of difficulty actually hearing. Were you struggling in places?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a curse of the times, but I was a bit surprised with it being a... Did it get a theatrical release? Or was it straight to Netflix?
No, I suspect it was straight to Netflix. They will occasionally put something out in cinemas.
Yeah.
I know they put Glass Onion out in cinemas, and I went and saw that at the time, but it's very few.
Yeah, and that gave it very much a... His character was not in character. For a very adult film, the way he acted was very much a... I don't know whether you've seen the latest iteration of Famous Five, where another Harry Potter alumni plays a bad guy and just hams it up completely. And it also doesn't really work in that particular really poor Famous Five version. But it had that same feel. His character didn't feel like a bad guy in that world. He felt like a caricature in that world, and it just didn't feel quite right to me. I don't know how you felt about what he was given. I'm not blaming his performance, but what he was given was pretty dumb, really.
Yeah. No, I blame the script.
Yeah. The other thing that I've got as far as my notes is in the middle of Sudan, all the gum trees. And my initial reaction was, did they film this in Australia? But my Googling has listed Morocco, and apparently Morocco has done extensive planting of eucalyptus trees.
Yeah.
Because the poor soil in parts of Morocco at least grows eucalyptus trees. And there's certainly other places in the world that they have become weeds. In California, for example, that suffers extra badly during their fire seasons with the eucalyptus trees.
Yeah, no. In my political presentation tomorrow, not to spoil things, there is a small aside about introduced species.
Good-o.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, dear. I'm looking forward to the sequel, though.
Yep.
And it does worry me about this. And I was fully expecting it.
Yeah.
That cut would introduce another character that one suspects is probably not entirely balanced in the head, I guess. Yeah.
More Chekhov's law.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to say about it?
No. In the interests of time, no.
No, if you've got something to say about it, then
no.
You don't.
I would have to think about it, and for various reasons I'm not thinking.
Good. All right, then. Well, we shall move on, then.
The following segment has no title. Thank you.
We will start over on Discord with a couple of messages from the previous episode. The previous episode to the previous episode, which is to say Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, which did actually come in time, but I assumed that I was good.
But you weren't. You were bad.
I wasn't, no. We have from Gertrude Perkins.
Hi, Gertrude Perkins.
Congrats on 250. That's
Thank
a hell of
you.
a milestone.
It really is.
Yeah. And EF Pie says, definitely, congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm weary.
EF Pie continues on last week's episode.
Right, so we're Sierra Madreing.
Yes.
Yep.
It's funny, but as you said the length, I thought to myself, oh, that's nice and reasonably short. I guess not.
No.
With the baby, I have really come to appreciate movies that can get in and out during a baby's afternoon nap.
I remember that time scale thing very much so. Please let me get through this film. Yes.
On Spotify, Caitlin
Hi, Caitlin.
says, is it just me, or is my music taste the weirdest thing? Seriously, I can go from Weezer to Hatsune Miku to Chapel Roan. Anyways, my basic playlist is like rock/alt, like Green Day, or just the type of stuff we listen to at dance. Not complaining, because the music at dance is good.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Caitlin.
Back on Discord, Entwosferatu
Hi, Into Osferatu.
says, after having retired arbitrary champion, whether or not it is true, I have decided I had the most arbitrary points.
I think you did. I
seems-
really did.
Seems likely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am arbitrarily unretiring
Welcome back.
in the Loading Ready Run community. Friday nights, show about Magic the Gathering. James, played by James, retires from Magic the Gathering formats when he wins a game.
That seems to be a trait of boxers, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So, retires champion from formats. One win. That's enough for him.
Yeah. I retire as reigning champion.
Entwosferatu continues, and it's not just because I finally got the podcast app on my new phone set up correctly again.
Huzzah!
I am trying to catch up on old episodes, and I'm excited to see how your cinematic theory of Chekhov's car evolves as the film series becomes faster and more furious, and goes to space.
What? They go to space? That's crazy. That's jumping the shark, I reckon. That can't happen. I think he's making that up.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like a thing that would happen,
No.
or that you'd put in a trailer.
No. Well, thanks everyone for your comments.
That will bring us up to the guesses.
It will.
Our first guess was submitted by E of Pi, and it was 9 characters. So I told them that it was 9 characters.
And they amended it.
To 8 characters. Trusmdr. TRS. SR. MDR.
Cool.
Hopefully that spacing has given you an idea of where those letters have come from.
Indeed.
It's not correct.
No.
Our other guess is from Entwosferatu, who has gone for T-Tots Mad. That's TTOTSMAD. Which is also not correct.
Oh dear. You give me far too much credit for
Yeah.
thinking about such things.
Um,
There is a certain word in the name of the title that
there's an
fits
8-character
quite
word,
nicely.
yeah. It's treasure, spelt as you would spell treasure.
Treasure.
So no arbitrary points to be had today.
No.
If you have any guesses as to this week's file name...
I need to show you what this week's file name is.
Yes, that makes sense. Come and get these arbitrary points.
Yeah. Just a reminder, we watched The Old Guard this week.
If you have any sort of film suggestions or commentary relevant to what we have discussed or watched this week, please do leave it in the YouTube comments or over on Spotify or on Twitter. Don't really get much from Twitter these days, but I am still checking it from time to time. Or
I have left, well and truly,
Yeah.
a long time
Yeah.
ago.
alas, some of the people who I want to keep up with are still on Twitter and posting things that I want to see on Twitter. So
Yep.
it is what it is. Also, Facebook, linked in the description.
I thought you were saying Facebook, LinkedIn. And,
We're not on LinkedIn.
we are not on LinkedIn. No.
We are not on the platform that Ken Cheng posts parodies of CEO behaviour on.
Oh, dear. Good.
Yeah. I know him from No Rolls Barred, which is a board game channel run by people who do wrestling content.
Right.
And also he is one of the contestants on the upcoming UK series of Genius Game.
Ah, good. Good.
Which is... this is wild connection.
Ha.
So that'll be taking up some of my time over the next couple of days when I'm not thinking about the election.
No. All right. I think we need to move on.
Yes, let's move on.
Pick a film for next week so we can go to bed.
It is your turn.
It is my turn.
You need to pick our come down.
I need to pick my what?
Our come down from the election.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's thrown me completely then. No, I'm still going to do what I chose to do.
Oh, yeah?
It's a film
I suspect so.
from 2025.
Uh-huh. I have some guesses as to what it might
Do you want
be.
to buzz in?
Is it a Netflix film?
It might be.
Is it likely that we're going to watch it with English subtitles?
Quite possibly.
Is it Bullet Train Explosion, the remake of the film Bullet Train?
If said film has a plot synopsis of a group who straps bombs to a Japanese bullet train in an attempt to extort money from the government, then yes, it would be Bullet Train Explosion. It popped up in the ad and I said, I know that I had been planning to watch that in the near future. I know that you were planning to, or have you already seen it?
No, I haven't seen it
Oh,
yet.
good. Well, there we go.
I suspected when you brought it up that it might come up on this podcast at some point in the near future.
Well, we can blow up 2 trains with 1 bomb then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next week, if you want to watch with us, or before us, or after us, it's on Netflix. Bullet Train Explosion. We hope that you can join us, but until then, we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
You have been listening to Cellulose Free. Your hosts were Colin, who produces and edits the show, and Thomas, who makes the artwork and music. Cellulose Free is recorded in the Deranged Cat Studios in scenic Tasmania, Australia. We keep track of our extensive physical media collection through My Movies, which we highly recommend. You can find links to that, as well as other places you can find us in the show notes. Cellulose Free is a Hi Hello production.
Hello, dear listener, and welcome to Cellulose Free. My name is Colin, and with me, as always, is Why Am I Doing This Voice Like This? I've been watching too much YouTube. Hello, dear listener, and welcome to Cellulose Free. No. Hello, dear listener, and welcome to... Hello, dear listener, and welcome...
You've got in your head now.
I have.